Hey guys, what's up? Alex Scott here with Consordini.com. Got another super cool studio gear review for you guys today. This big, beautiful system is my Icon Qcon Pro X control surface with accompanying EX extenders. This thing is amazing. I use it absolutely every day. If you are in the market for a comprehensive mix controller, this I think is pretty much the best thing on the market. What it is, it looks like a mixing console, and it is after a fashion, but no audio actually passes through this device. It's solely here to control your DAW. So it works over MIDI through USB. It also uses the Mackie interface standard as well as the HUI interface standard for Pro Tools. It can talk to pretty much any DAW you might use. So I use PreSonus Studio One. Integrates beautifully with that. It'll also work with Logic, Cubase, Nuendo, Pro Tools, as I said. Pretty much anything out there on the market right now. Reaper, Ableton, I think even FL Studio, there is a template for it. It'll work with whatever you need, and it's basically a gigantic mouse. It's a gigantic keyboard. It takes over all of the functions and controls of your DAW, such as track selection, mute, solo, arm to record, your panning, all of obviously your fader volumes or fader levels for each channel. You also have a fantastic transport section right here, record, play, stop, toggle your loop on and off, fast forward, rewind. You also have some fabulous zoom controls. You can control your session view and move around, and then a ton of other stuff here in the center section. So again, no audio actually passes through it. It's really just taking direct control of your DAW. And that's, to me, it's just a godsend. You know, any of us who are mix engineers and use digital audio workstations or software to mix, so much gets done with your mouse. You know, you're sitting here and you're trying to click and drag, you're panning around and all this kind of stuff. I got really, really tired of that, and so I started looking around for control surfaces. There's a lot of other control surfaces that are similar on the market, like the Mackie control, the PreSonus fader port, there's all kinds of stuff, but I will say that what Icon has done here, you know, it's not a cheap system to get into, but it, to me, is absolutely the highest quality. It's rugged, kind of brushed, anodized aluminum finish on the whole thing, solid metal construction, really, really nice feeling, super responsive faders. Everything is touch sensitive. All the buttons have just a good, firm, kind of reassuring click to them. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move the camera over a little bit, and I've got a session pulled up here, and I will show you guys through a couple of the basic features so you can kind of see it in action. Okay guys, so here we go. Icon Qcon Pro X. I love this thing. It looks so sleek, so pretty, and it just feels great to use. So the number one thing that I use all the time is the transport section here. So we have a jog wheel. If you can see up on my screen, this is obviously jogging through our session. Really, really easy. It's way better than having to grab your mouse and go up to the timeline and click around. You just grab this thing and shuttle over to wherever you need to go in your session. We, of course, also have our transport controls, and those will allow you to obviously control playback and, you know, fast forward, rewind, stop. You can also toggle your loop on and off here, so if you need to loop a particular area, that's accessible right there. You also have these zoom features, which, if you can see from the kind of bottom corner here, zooms in and out on your session vertically and horizontally, which is a fabulously useful feature. And then moving on to your actual channel controls, it's pretty much everything that you would expect from any other controller. So like, let's see here, we've got this this is a piece that I made for a video game actually, that will be released in the next year here. But we can, just like on a mixing console, go through, we have fader control of everything, and it corresponds directly to your DAW, so you can go and, and I can grab the fader on screen, and just like that, it's all integrated. So based on what you select on here, we'll obviously select your channel on screen. You can solo, mute, pan things around, push to center on the pan. Now, obviously I have 24 channels here, but if you have more than 24 channels in your session, this one has around 30, you can just bank over. And that's going to move your whole view over to the next one. Now you can bank in groups of 8, or you can go channel by channel, depending on how you want to set up your view. Now, it also gets into a lot more advanced features. We can control our punch modes, our automation modes. You can also reassign all of these pots up here to control plugins, control sends, do all kinds of different stuff. And then there's even some user assignable buttons up here. I personally don't use any of those buttons because that's, you know, stuff that is going to kind of vary from session to session depending on what I'm working on. But everything else on the control surface I use constantly. I've had this for over a year now. It's been in daily use. It has literally thousands and thousands of hours on it, banking through and using pretty much, you know, again, aside from these assignable buttons, using every single feature on the console. I have had zero issues, not a single issue whatsoever. Another thing that I love about it, as you can see, is this awesome meter bridge, which corresponds perfectly to the levels in your DAW. The refresh rate is fabulous, and it's actually pretty accurate. You know, it's going to show you when you are peaking or clipping or how hot your signal is, and that is adjustable. Icon offers a piece of software called iMap, and that's going to let you go in and kind of customize all of your functions and everything in terms of how those meter bridges work and what the fader throw is like, you know, how sensitive everything is. That's all adjustable and customizable, which is really, really, really great. You also have just some handy stuff, you know, how bright your LED and text contrast and all that kind of stuff is right there on the unit. It does, of course, as you can see, pull up your track names here, as well as your dB values, which is great, and that can be toggled to show pan and all different kinds of stuff, which is really, really handy. So it's just an incredibly intuitive and fast way to use your DAW. And if you use other pieces of kind of controller equipment, like I have my Softube Console 1 here, which I cannot sing the praises of high enough, or I have my TC22 2290 dynamic digital delay, which we did a review on here on the channel. All of this talks to each other. So if I select a channel that has Console 1 on it, like this glasses channel, and you can see here on Console 1, all my settings pull up for that. But when I swap over to bass, the Console 1 actually follows it in real time. And, you know, we can make adjustments here, and then we select back over here, and now we're adjusting the parameters on that. So these actually work in concert with one another to really, you know, up the functionality of the whole thing. And it almost, at the end of the day, feels like you're mixing on an old school analog console, like an SSL or a Neve or something like that. It's just a fabulously intuitive and fast workflow. It saves so much time from not having to sit there with your mouse, you know, and find all those tiny little knobs on screen and these fiddly little pan controls and stuff. You can really, you know, almost turn off your screens altogether once you've got your session arranged and just, you know, mix. Exactly as you would mix on an old school analog console. You know, it's just so much faster. You know, you just zip through stuff. Like, you want to solo, you want to mute, you want to pan something around. It's just phenomenal. I absolutely love it. Okay guys, so there you go. Icon Qcon Pro X control surface. Now, the main control surface is just this center module. You get 8 channels with the master fader and the transport controls and all that good stuff. And then you do add on these extenders after the fact. Now, the center unit retails for, I believe, $800 or $900. The extenders are somewhere around $600 or $700. This whole setup with all 24 channels cost me $2,500. Again, that's a very steep price for a lot of people, but if you are a full-time engineer, full-time producer, anything like that, like if you really are looking for the highest quality in mix gear, and you mix enough that you feel like it makes sense, where using your mouse and doing all this really finicky clicking stuff is impeding your workflow, that's, you know, there is no substitute for a good high-quality controller. As I said earlier, there are a few other manufacturers with similar products. We have the Mackie control from Mackie. It's a great unit, but doesn't have the meter bridge, and I believe has some compatibility issues maybe. There is also the SSL Nucleus, which is a solution from Solid State Logic. That has 16 channels, but does have some onboard audio processing in terms of having an interface, a couple of SSL preamps in it, which obviously SSL is a legendary name in the audio world, but that Nucleus control surface, which basically is this with a couple preamps and an interface in it, is almost $7,000 new. So it's almost 3 times the price of this to get that SSL name. And I've used the Nucleus. It feels great. It looks really, really slick. But I honestly, you know, would take this and then use my outboard gear and other interfaces and stuff just as soon as I would step up to a Nucleus. Nothing against SSL. They're a wonderful company and have made incredible products for many, many years. Just for me personally, you know, this is a perfect solution for me. I have the interface that I really like. I have an Antelope Orion 32, and this thing just integrates beautifully with the rest of my setup. There is also a USB hub on the back of this. There are 3 USB inputs, so you can either daisy chain your extenders into that, or you can use it for other things. I have my typing keyboard plugged in to one of the ports on there as well. So really, really diverse in terms of how you can set it up. Again, just such a high-quality unit. It feels great. It looks beautiful. It's a really striking-looking piece of gear. You know, when people walk into my studio, you know, they see the big console with all the faders and knobs. It's not some tiny little thing or, you know, little one fader deal or something like that. It really feels like you're working on a big high-end console. So, thank you so much for watching, guys. Again, my name is Alex Scott with Consordini.com. What do you guys think of the Qcon Pro X? Have you used one? Have you seen one? Would you love to own one? Qcon does make a few other kind of extender fader units. They make the original Qcon, which I used for many years, which is white. Doesn't have the meter bridges. They just released the G2 of the Qcon, which looks very, very similar, and then they have the Platform M, I believe it's called, which is a little, like, miniaturized version that's more this size. So if you guys have used any of this gear, or if you're fans of Qcon, not fans of Qcon, whatever, do let us know in the comments down below. We would really appreciate hearing from you. And, yeah, thanks as always for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.